Welcome to Loan Officer Success Live, sponsored by Premier Lending, the show where the mortgage industry's top players pull back the curtain. Your host, Devin Dubuque, sits down with industry leaders, top producers, and game-changing mortgage tech innovators, all sharing their unfiltered strategies, bold ideas, and proven secrets for success. Get ready to take notes, think bigger, and play to win, because this is Loan Officer Success Live. All right, guys, we are back and we are live. And let's talk about thinking bigger, man. Let's make our wallets bigger. Today, we've got Jay Young, wealth management advisor, and he's the founder of the Young Financial Group, hailing from Las Vegas, Nevada, one of the coolest places on the planet. Hey, welcome to the show, Jay, brother. Glad to have you here.
Thanks, Devin. Glad to be here, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, we had the pleasure of connecting through the Ford Mastermind. Neil Dingra, you're in the mastermind. I joined the mastermind recently. Lex, one of the girls that works on your team, scouted me out, connected us two together, and man, here we are.
Yeah, I'm glad that she did. It's so cool to be connected through what Neil's building with inside of Ford.
No question about it, man. No question about it. And just, man, some of the folks that we get to meet or have influence, through unbelievable, unbelievable, and this is, national, I think for the most part, most of us are hailing from the United States, but man, some of the speakers that he's bringing in, it's literally unreal. Like to be in the room with billionaires that are just out there crushing, the industry, man. It's a pleasure to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely agree.
So, well, the one thing that really kind of sparked this conversation, you're out there doing, the wealth management advisory, and you are still a pretty young guy, right? So not just Jay Young, but you're actually younger. You've got a whole team and you've done some really amazing things, man. And I thought, let's put the spotlight on you and talk a little bit about, how you've built what you have, how you got started, and I know we can't talk about specific advisory terms today, right? We've got to save that for the behind closed door stuff, but man, let's unpack some things and, get to know you a little bit, brother. So are you from LV? Are you native? That's it, born and raised?
Yeah, born and raised in Las Vegas, and it's been a really interesting experience. When I think a lot of people think of wealth management, right? They don't think of working with industry professionals and fast money and things of that nature. But, it's definitely been amazing out here in Las Vegas to really help and, support our community. I think it's a growing community for sure, but it's, been a really interesting run so far out here in Las Vegas.
That's killer, man. So you just you grew up and just your whole life you dreamed of being in wealth management. This is the industry you were bred for?
Yeah, I don't know if it was right. I started a marketing and business consulting business when I was 15, and I had sold that and decided to take a pivot, take care of some family, and wealth management kind of found me. I started making good money, and what you do when you start making good money is I have to find a place to put it, right? And so I started trying to find advisors, and at 16, 17 years old, no one believed that I was making the money that I was making. And when I sold the business, I didn't know how to go find one, right? I tried talking to a couple and it never really went anywhere, because it wasn't really a conversation about like long-term planning, right? It was a lot of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. And I was what, most people that we talk to, I was the person that wanted to manage my own money. And, I got into crypto and, did my own thing. And I found this through a family friend. My dad owns a property and casualty brokerage here in Vegas. And so he had a buddy from Farmers and he introduced me to the career, and it took me a while to make the pivot, but I think it was definitely worth it. And I'm glad that, he convinced me to come over here and, spread the good word.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm going to pivot backwards a little bit because you just dropped a bomb on us. At 15, you built a company and started building your financial wealth, and had to find a way to invest those funds so you could allow for them to grow. But what were you doing at 15, man? Like, what did you build?
Yeah, we did like visionary branding and marketing, and then some internal operational side, right? So I started studying business. My dad had a bunch of these yellow pages. He was a lot like me when he was younger, very entrepreneurial, and my mom was a executive in a hotel, and so they had all these leadership books and yellow pages and things of that nature. And you'd find me up in my dad's office opening up financial management for dummies or something like that. And I started learning about it, like taxes for dummies and accounting for dummies, and just really trying to figure that out. And so it was really interesting for me because I had met a friend through high school, and his mom had a friend who had a business, and he asked me to do some work for him and paid me on the side, and that slowly but surely became self-employment while I was in high school. And so I was kind of checked out of high school, still a good student, played football and some of those things, but definitely loved starting to make money and build a business.
That's pretty crazy, man. That's crazy. So you said at 16 is when you start talking about kids. So 15 you start a business, 16 you're cashing out. Is that right?
No, so yeah, I mean that's when I was starting to make like $3,000-4,000 a month, right? When back then, pretty good income.
15, it's great income.
Yeah, while working, I had always been like the type to trade Yu-Gi-Oh cards and trade people for bike parts when I had my BMX street bikes and all that stuff. You could see that I was always in some types of like sales or entrepreneurial spirit for sure. But and then Facebook comes out with direct mail marketing, and ClickFunnels started happening, and webinars were a thing. And for me, it was a good pivot, right? It was interesting, and I got to help what we call boomers today do the basics of internet media and some of those types of things. And it was fun. I didn't have to work too hard at it, and it was such a unique skill that that wasn't very big at the time. And I made a decent bit of money, and eventually grew into an actual company where I had staff and kind of did my own thing.
What age was this when you started bringing on people and actually having support staff?
Yeah, so good question. I was probably after graduating. I had a few buddies that I had worked with that were in high school with me, and they wanted to help, and so we started kind of building it out together. I had a mentor in the business, and slowly and surely, probably a year or two after graduating high school. So I graduated at 17. I was even young for my high school years. So the last name has always stuck. But I graduated right when I turned 17 pretty much. And getting out of high school, had a couple of clients doing my own thing, tried going to college. It wasn't a really good fit. And so I'd manage my business while working at SLS in the mailroom. So my mom was over there and opened that, and I would go pick up the mail and sit in their mailroom all alone and just work on my business for hours on end. It was a good time.
That's awesome, man. Well, this may be a little bit before your days, but the Doogie Howser of wealth management advisory, right? Out there starting in when everybody else is still out there partying and having a good time. You're picking up wealth management books, learning, the industry, and getting a massive head start on everybody else. And you mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh! So I have to ask, just because today there was a big launch. They dropped some Yu-Gi-Oh! Air Maxes. Did you happen to get a pair? Or are you done with the collecting?
No, I haven't yet. I am a big sneakerhead. I did see that they released that. So I didn't get it fortunate enough on the word to go, cop that. But, hopefully I can try to find a way to get a pair.
Well, I have a feeling that you can probably afford a pair even on secondary if you got to go down that rabbit hole.
Unfortunately, right?
Yeah. Well, good stuff, man. So you get started really young. Again, ironically happens to be your last name.
Yeah.
And and I think this is great for anybody that's out there that wants to get self-started, right? Like, you're never too I'm going to stop using the word. It's never too early
Yeah.
to go down and start, building that educational background so that you can get a head start in the industry. So where do you think that puts you, to where you are today, with the Young Financial Group? How did that help you, building that out at such an early age and educating yourself, on how to run a business at 15?
Yeah. I think more so than anything is the leadership qualities. When I played football, I wasn't like one of our team captains, but from a very young age, I found that people definitely gravitated towards me. And I think I've always had that ability to have people, focus on bettering themselves and, place vision inside of others. And I think, my parents did a really good job of not limiting from what I wanted to do, right? My parents always said you had to do an extracurricular activity. I don't care what it was. And you had to have good grades, right? You just had to apply yourself to whatever it is, the thing that you did. So, for me, building out my business really was just a hobby. I never had to think of it as something I had to do. It was just something I wanted to do the whole time. And so that part of it was always really fun. But more so than anything, it prepared me to leading other people, right? Owning a business, starting to have staff, got me around the leadership side. And I, thank my mom for her leadership endeavors in her, role as an executive inside of hospitality in Vegas. She's definitely been the person that, put me into the world of leadership, and started handing me books like from Simon Sinek and Robert Greene and, these other guys that, were thought leaders that, didn't come from a lead because I tell you, but lead because I'll show you, mindset. And that's really, where I found my passion in this is, with our business, I really like the people that I meet, and I just get to be around other amazing leaders and individuals like yourself.
I love it, man. What's a couple of books that you would throw out there, right? Like if you are passionate about, succeeding in life, right? Like what are two books that you would say, hey, pick up, read these. These are must have in your knowledge database.
Yeah, so The Power of Habit is definitely one of the strongest ones. And then the one that really pivoted for me was A Trillion Dollar Coach. Those two books, I think, just from different perspectives, whether you're in leadership or not, A Trillion Dollar Coach shows you the framework of what it takes to be a good person and to show up in society the way that you want, focusing on the right things. But definitely those two would be the spear for me.
Well, I'm literally adding those to my read list right now. At the end of the day, I'm always looking at, how can I improve my positioning and learn more and understand more, right? So, ultimately, if you're on the podcast, you probably have that same mindset, right? But if, you don't, let me tell you something, it's never too late to get started, right? You can always put yourself in a position to get better and move further in your life and your career. So, brother, I appreciate that. And again, at such an early age out there getting things, started and learning, how to run a business. So where does that put you today, man? So you're founder of Young Financial Management Group or Financial Wealth Group. What does that look like, man? Like what is that? What's the operation? Let's hear about it.
Yeah, so we have about 4 or 5, direct team members inside of our office. And I also have a leadership responsibility and role inside of Northwestern Mutual as a growth development director. And, more so than anything for our practice is, a space of equality and like trying to give equity to people, right? So all of our team members are licensed. We're working towards getting licensed. So we teach them how to be advisors and keep them up to date. So we don't have admin or just assistants or staff or anything of that sort. So we have the internal, team, and then we have, the extension of me, which is the office as well. And so across the nation, we have a lot of amazing advisors inside of Northwestern Mutual. And I have a lot of friends and other leaders as well that kind of leverage me as a player coach, right? And so probably 50-60% of my time is now in leadership, and 40 to 50% of my time is meeting with clients and having those conversations, and which sounds crazy to say, but preparing the next generation of advisors to go do what they need to go do best, right? And so like how you said, it's never too late to focus on yourself. We have some people coming to us at 45 years old that had been in a different industry and have now pivoted, and it's been cool because I've been able to steward them towards success in this new career, but almost through a transformation of life, right? Going through and doing something for themselves versus doing for others. And it's just definitely something that I always support in regards to entrepreneurial spirit.
Well, how do we help others if we don't help ourselves first? You know,
Yeah,
and I think that's something a lot of people get wrong because we can't serve others if we're not in our best position, right? And so we've got to take that time for self-love and, for growth internally so that when we are heading down the right pathway, we can advise people the right way. I always tell people, you have to be very careful, who you're looking to get your information from, right? With all the resources we have out there right now, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, right? Everybody is going to tell you what they think, but are they qualified to give
yeah,
you that information, right? And I think that's where you got to take a look back and go, well, where are they at? And are they in front of me or are they behind me? If they're
yeah,
behind me, that's probably not somebody I'm going to subscribe to information from. But when you've got a guy like you, Jay, who started at 15, built a business, and then took off in the financial side of the world, man, that's a pretty great person to start getting some information from. Because if you were able to do it at such a young age, and there's some people, like you said, that are in their 40s that still haven't found their way. You know what? Let's take advice from somebody that's done it faster than others. And that's something in my side of the industry. I'm in mortgage and I work with a lot of agents as well, right? And a lot of the times we see people who are like, but that agent's been in business for 20 years. But guess what? This agent has closed more transactions in 3 years than they closed in 20. Who's more
right.
qualified to give you that information, right?
100%. Yeah, and I think that that really speaks volumes. And I think even as you become a really good leader, you're also looking for really great leaders, right? And to aforemention, like for Neil, with what he's doing inside of Ford, I think that really speaks volumes as well. Like even how we got connected, right? The people that we even has as colleagues and friends hold you to a different standard,
That's it.
right? I think that's the thing that really pivoted for myself is the thing that I love about being a wealth management advisor and working with business owners and successful individuals is that they're always critiquing how our practice can get better. I get emails
Mm,
all the time of saying, "Hey, I noticed this in one of your emails. Maybe we do this instead." And it's cool because they're still clients and they see that we're doing wealth management, but it's operational efficiency or having guidance from peers. But obviously they don't do wealth management. That's still our bread and butter. But I
right.
get to go to some of our clients on, hey, one of our team members is dealing with this and I need, a little bit of guidance. What is your thoughts, right? How am I thinking about this? And do you think I'm thinking about this the right way? Am I being patient enough? Am I being too patient with this person, right?
Yeah.
How do I move the needle? And I think that's what, true leadership is and, really what elevates all of us to become better.
Yeah. I love that you said that, man. And, I think it also goes back to, surrounding yourself by great people, as you mentioned, also having a coach, right? Having a coach and mentor that, you can look to for personal growth.
Yeah.
And, I've had many coaches over the years, and, sometimes a coach comes and goes because what you find is when you are out there getting coaching, you may get to the point where you've mastered that coaching and now it's time to level up and move into another circle and have another season of growth. And so I do think, and I don't care what industry you're in, what field you're in, there's always ways to level up. So, you should always be focused on who can I have as a coach that can help support me, mentor me, and help me get heading in the right direction. And then from there, inside of these coaching programs or these masterminds,
Yeah.
as we call them, right? The people that we're associating ourselves with. We always hear the statement, hey, you're a product of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? I think it's more than 5, right? I think you're a product of the room that you're in. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're looking in the room and you're going, this is not a great place to be, I'm not leveled up, I'm at the top of this room, you're in the wrong room, right? I want to be in a room full of people that are doing better than me because that's going to make me push to the top, right? I'm going to improve where my positioning is just because I'm going to inspire to be in another place, And I do want to premise this by saying, but don't compare yourself to that person. One of the statements I always like to use, Jay, is comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And if we compare ourselves to somebody else, we may not be happy with where we're at. We don't want to compare ourselves. We may want to be there. Let's figure out what they did to get there, and then let's go together. Right? That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think, for me, I've spent about $287,000 on coaches and masterminds and things of that nature since, I started my entrepreneurial journey. And it's something that I always track. It's, even one of the things that Our leadership internal of Northwestern Mutual has acknowledged that I reinvest very fast into myself and even in for others. But I think a big part of that is, some of the times the people that are ahead of you want to see that you're putting effort into yourself and then they give back, right? And so, one of the quickest ways to evolve as a person is, I think, buying in to some of these friends groups, right?
Yeah.
And letting these people coach you, develop you, and be around you. And then they'll give you the opportunity to earn income off of them as well, right? Most of our
Exactly.
best clients have been people that we've invested into something that they're doing or have supported what they're doing first. And givers gain, right? It kind of goes back to that. And I've never seen somebody truly successful not willing to give freely, but they want to see that you're willing to give as well. They're going to check, how much you give. I think people on a mindset shift wise measure their gifting, right, versus measuring their growth and their taking, right? And so, our best clients are amazing philanthropists, right? They're amazing in their communities, and they give their time and effort and energy to others for free. They sit on boards for causes that they believe in, and they gift dollars to people that are going to go execute on the thing that they want to support. And I think that's the biggest part of this is, I think any person at the top that wants to see people around them get better, right, are hoping to see that they have buy-in and that they are serious about themselves, so that we as leaders can be serious about them as well.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. Well, let's talk a little bit about this. So you're in the wealth management business, and you've got somebody that's inspiring to potentially unlock that. What's a piece of advice that you would give to somebody that's thinking about transitioning over to your side of the business, and just how would you go about getting started?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think on the practical side, obviously, there's, being a student and learning and things of that nature. I think on the less practical, more hippy dippy, mindset stuff, is I think you have to come in with a servant's attitude. I grew my business through giving, to others, kind of going back to what I just said.
Yeah.
And more so than anything, commitment, right? I've worked 12 to 15-hour days for the last 4 to 5 years inside of this role. And, my goal in doing so is that those around me maybe don't have to spend the same amount of hours in the same things, right? They should put the same hours in, but in the same things. But I think it's true commitment to fulfill the promise in whatever role you have, right? And so
Yeah.
wealth management's a scary career. It's one that people often thought of as a status thing. You had to be from an Ivy League school, and you have to have this degree, that degree, this certification, that certification. But what I found is, if I'm in a room and I'm humble and I can learn from those around me, then they're more likely to learn from myself as well, right? And I've met a couple of your partners inside of Forward, and I ask them questions first before telling them, what I do or whatever else. I can be the kid and be humble and, show face. And then if a person asks me and wants to have a conversation, it's reciprocity, right? And
That's
so
it.
I think to some values of having high integrity, having reciprocity, and then more so than anything being, having large amounts of humility. I mean, like an over encumbering amount of humility in, the world, and how you show up. I think people support this business. The world of wealth management has always been about how much we charge for our time and effort and energy and, billables. And, the thing for me is I still don't have client, minimums. I don't ask a client how much they have in assets or what they make to work with, us or our firm. It's really just making sure that they're taken care of. But, that creates an opportunity, if they're not needing complex planning, right, to also give to our other team members that are growing their career as well. Right. And so it's helping that client that maybe doesn't need a me, right? But maybe they need somebody. And
Yeah.
so I can hand them off to somebody that can give them the energy and the time necessary for them to progress in their life as well. And that's really where, I think being a great leader in wealth management is casting a vision that those below you could see themselves inside of and eventually be beside you, right? True leadership is casting a large enough net that those, can see that they fit inside of it. And
Yeah.
so with wealth management, I think it's been a world of prestige that's closed off and said, hey, you're just not there yet. You can't, you're not cut out for this. And, it's been that mentality for a really long time. And I think, society's made a big shift, right? Transparency's higher than ever before.
It is.
Technology being better. And more so than anything is people are seeing how others act inside and outside of their worlds, and really questioning the legitimacy of, is it worth the money, right? You're seeing this in all industries. Are, realtors worth their money? Are advisors worth their money, right? And people are having to show up and earn their money for the first time in a long time. There's a shift back to middle class and regular everyday people about having to earn what you make. And I think it's a good thing. It creates equality and, it creates transparency. Our clients ask us what we make, how we earn our income. And I am very transparent on how much I earn, what my planning looks like, right? And that kind of goes back to that transparency piece.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. Let's talk a little bit about your team, man. So you've got the Young Financial Group. What's that look like?
Yeah. So I have a director of ops that really spearheads and really, co-chairs everything. His name's Human Alizada. He's amazing. Without him, I started working with him about a year and a half ago, and he really, pivoted our practice. I've always been an entrepreneur. I think that most really good founders and business owners have a little bit of ADD, ADHD in them, and juggle a lot of stuff, right? And it gets good. It's good enough to get done, but it's not maybe perfect. And Human, has built out our practice to be perfect and has really created a level of excellence that I think we all want as founders, right? But maybe don't quite know how to do at the same level, right?
Sure.
And he really helps spearhead that. And then I have yeah, 100%. And part of it is also letting go of control to him, right? He'll tell me like, hey, that's not how this works. We got to do it this way, and you got to listen, right? And I found that as we build this team out, I end up being, quote unquote, we're the boss, right, of our teams and businesses. But we're definitely being bossed around more than we are bossing others, I find. And so, having those people that are having you do the right things are definitely important as well.
Well, I talked about this to our teams all the time. My job is to provide value to them. And at the end of the day, I don't look at it as I'm your boss. I look at it as, I'm here to help you achieve your goals. And if I'm doing my job well, then you will, right? And if I'm not doing what it is that's necessary to help you do that, fire me. Go find another place to hang your hat, because we as leaders, a lot of the times get in this mindset of, these are my employees. No, they're not. They've chosen to work with us. So we need to get out there and create great value for them. You talk about, a lot of really great strategies here. Number one, you're the visionary, right? You're the visionary. You understand what your firm is and what it looks like. But a lot of the times visionaries aren't great integrators. And so having that foresight to say, look, I'm not great at all these things. That's what all great leaders do, right? Great leaders say, hey, I'm great at these things, but I suck at this stuff over here. Let me hire somebody that's better than I am at this. And that's what's going to allow for us to take off. And this is a concept that a lot of people let their ego get in the way of, right? Ego says, I have to do it all. I have to be the best at it. And that, ultimately I can't let go of these things because I'm the only one that can do them right. And that always goes back to the old Henry Ford story, right? He was a welder and he was building, these amazing machines, but he could only build so many because he was welding all of them together. And somebody came and said, hey, I know you're a great welder, but what if you hired, he's like, yeah, I can't let it go. I'm the best. That's great. What if you found the second best welder, right? And let them do that so that you can do more. And guess what, right? We know who Ford is today. We see them on the streets everywhere we go. And that's somebody having the foresight of going, you're right, I got to let go and let somebody else who's better at this job do the work. It's okay that I suck at, certain things inside of my business. Let me find somebody that can do it better than me.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think that's really the next level of leadership, right? So we have another team member, Tyler, and we're making him into one of the best planners that I can, right? His whole job is helping building out financial plans, and it's teaching him our entire comprehension, right, of what we do and how we do it. Being a marketing head, right, and a person that loves marketing, right, and in building this business, the next step is like, how do we help the next person, right? And so we have intern advisors as well, and they are growing their practice, and hopefully one day can go and do it all on their own, right? And that's the idea for all of us, I think, as leaders, is to see what they're going to go do. But I have two interns that are amazing as well, Tegan and Erica. Tegan kind of like spearheads all things marketing, and I think that's even distracting for all of us. I think you might deal with this, is I don't like being on camera and doing stuff. That's why we're probably both part of Forward, right?
Yeah.
Neil's like, hey, just go post some content, and I still am resistant towards those things, right? But he helps spearhead marketing and events and those types of things. And then Erica is an executive assistant, but still, again, building towards being an advisor. Eventually might do her own thing, right? And then you have associated advisors. And so, Lex, who you'd mentioned earlier, is somebody that has her own career with us, is underneath, my jurisdiction, I guess, is leadership, but it's her own advisor that partners with, my team, because she does one thing amazingly well, and it's how we got connected, is networking. I am the sit in the corner type, and I think most people know that about me, is I do not like going to marketing events and networking events and going and meeting a bunch of people. I get very introverted very quickly, which is always surprising to, I think, people. When we're in our setting, we do great. When we're in other settings, we're like, it's not my time to shine, and I'm just going to sit here and chill. But Lex is not that. She's really great at going out and meeting a bunch of people, and together, right? The reality of this thing is, as we build a team, people have to own their jobs, right? So I had mentioned that, I played football, right? And the only thing my coach would tell me is your first step, when you play football, has to be forward. I was a middle linebacker, right? And most games where my steps weren't forward, we lost. Those games where my first step was forward, we won, and there's something about that. It's small little things of doing your job, so that, that execution is there. And I think that's what all these team members even provide, and they're right, is they're doing their job great, but they also hold, myself accountable to doing my job that way, right? And that's always, I think the fun part of building teams, right? I know I dealt with this when I built out the marketing company, is it was a village to go and scale and grow something, to do what we did. And in this business, those standards are higher. Like, I've met a lot of people in marketing. People don't really know what marketing is, but they know what their money is. They don't know if marketing's going good or bad, but I promise, if people see money go down, they see the red, and they know that's not good. Red's not good, green is good, and very quickly are saying, hey, you're not doing your job, right? And so I think expectations of excellence are really high in this industry, and I think that's the hardest expectation to meet out of most industries, is everyone interacts with their dollars, where most people don't know what it's like to do a real estate transaction or originate debt or loans, or some of those other things. I don't as either, right? And so when I hire a person for that, I'm like, you got it. If the numbers on the sheet, that's what I'm looking at. But the back of it and getting the job done, I have no clue. In our business, people deal with their money all the time, and so they have a lot of opinions and expectations out of us and our team. And those team members really hold me accountable to making sure our clients' expectations are met.
I love it, man. Well, it sounds like you're a lot like me too. I'm an introverted extrovert. So, the extrovert comes out when it has to. But I much prefer just to kind of be the wallflower like you talked about. Which people never believe. They're like, wait a minute, you're 6'4", tattooed up, and you dress in all these wild, crazy, colors, and you're an introvert.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
But it's just, it is what it is. But I scale up, when I'm out in public. But I'd much prefer not to be the conversation starter, right? Like, I like to be the behind the closed doors. And then when I feel like I can interject something great into the conversation, then of course that's when my extrovert side takes over, and there we go. So. But
I agree.
Yeah. Well, brother, I can't keep you here all day. I know that you've got people to serve out there. What is a good final note that we can kind of leave off on today?
Yeah, I think, hopefully people that are seeing this lead with courage, right? And have the courage to step into doing this something for yourself, right? I think anything in entrepreneurship or, becoming a leader is everyone has that opportunity to step up and lead. And I think that's what we need more now than ever in society is more leaders. Be a great parent, be, a great spouse, do your job, to the highest level of integrity. And I think if we all do, our parts in society, I think society would go a lot further for sure.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. Do good things just because it's the right thing to do, right? Work
Right.
hard and go out there and earn what you really want. And, so many people, they want things given, especially today. Oh, they see these YouTubers and social media superstars. They're like, oh, they're viral and they didn't have to do anything. It's like, well, guess what? They actually did. If you actually follow those people and realize the journey that it took for them to get where they are, there's a lot of work that goes behind being a social media superstar, right? So you can't just get rich by, hoping and praying. You got to get out there and do something. And being a great person and a great human being, man, that is just man, let's do that. Let's just strive as a country to be great people and get out there and take care of each other, right? What a crazy concept that is, to be a good human being. So
yeah, it takes 5 to 50 years to be an overnight success, right? 5 to 50 years to be an overnight success. So
there it is. There it is. Well, Jay Young, folks, hey, if you want some wealth management advice, Jay and his team are going to be a great resource for you. And you can find Jay on LinkedIn at JC Young WMA. And you can also find him over on Instagram on the same handle, JC Young WMA. He's making it too easy. Go over there and follow him. And, if you need some information, right, just DM him. He or one of his team members are going to be there to help you out. Also, if you're on your journey, and you want to jump into wealth management and you need somebody that you can reach out to that can show you the way, or maybe even join his team, go check Jay out, man. Good guy, great team. And thanks again to Lex for, connecting us two together. And brother, I hope to see you here in October. I hear we're going to be hanging out on my birthday because the 9th, which is when our mastermind is my birthday. So
coming to Vegas.
There it is, man. Coming to Vegas, man. So, brother, thank you so much for being here. And for anybody that tuned in today, thank you guys for coming and checking us out. And, maybe we'll do a follow-up to this one when we're face-to-face in Vegas in October. So, until the next time, man. I think this is it, right, Jay? Thank you, brother.
Doing the good work.
Yeah. Well, somebody's got to do it.
I love it.
Yeah, good stuff, brother. We'll sit tight and let's guys, we'll see you on the next one. You've been watching Loan Officer Success Live, where real strategies meet real success. Don't forget to subscribe now and share it with your teammates and keep leveling up, because your next breakthrough starts here. If this fired you up, don't just watch success, go out there and build it.